one of the things I really wanted to talk to you, and you brought him up a few times, but I really want to get into Johnny Goodtime, how you guys became a tag team. When did you know it was going to become like a regular thing? How did that all happen?
So there's this picture that I still have saved on. I think it's on this. Yeah, it's on this hard drive I've got on this computer. And it's just me posing with Johnny Goodtime at one of those UPW light shows. I remember I was putting away the chairs, and I had like my digital camera that I was filming Ricky's match with, and I was like, "Hey man, can we get a picture?" And I just remember looking at it, and in my head, I was like, man, we'd be a sick tag team. I'd never even bumped, or no, at that point I had. But you know what I mean? I was just stupid, just dreaming, because here was this, and a lot of it just comes down to like, I mean, he was so talented, but he was just also so warm and welcoming in a really cold business. The that light show where I first saw Kevin really wrestle, that was also the first time I met Joey Ryan, and he was a complete fucking dick to me. He was a total jerk.
Really,
And
right
I
from
was
the
like,
start?
oh, right from the start. Yeah. A lot of the guys were that day. There's some EWF guys there. Scorpio Sky was really nice to me. I remember Alcatraz. If anyone remembers him from WSX, he was super nice. Todd Kennelly was there. He was super nice. Some guys were super nice, and Kevin was one of them. And so we started doing like, he was on that first show I was ever on, that New Wave show. He was in a tag match with one of my best friends, also Ty Matthews, then at the time Jarek Matthews. Ty Matthews managed Watts on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood to a solo tag championship victory. Um, and yeah, they were a tag team that night or whatever. And I just remember Kevin like tore it up, did like sick ass dive, just he tore it up, and I was like, cool, like I'm on shows with this guy now, cool. And then we started doing shows at SoCal Pro together. And then in that same building, I wrestled Adam Pierce for the first time in Riverside. They did a four-way where it was Johnny Paradise, who was a SoCal like mainstay, and Johnny Goodtime versus Johnny Goodtime versus Johnny Yuma, and then one of my other closest friends, Chris Terry, who's an amazing artist. He does a lot of my artwork. We work on toy projects together. He was known as Irish Chris O'Grady at the time, and they were like, let's just make you Johnny O'Grady
Yeah, I
tonight,
was
so
going to say,
everybody's
there's a theme
Johnny's.
here.
So everybody was Johnny. We have this, little stupid little spotty four-way or whatever. And I remember I purposely had me and Kevin work together on stuff. I was like, well, we're the baby faces in the match, so let's low bridge him out, and then we could double whip him and do that. And I was like, hey, that was really fun. And like honestly, like, I mean, he probably will never get it just because he's a humble dude, but like I seriously thought he was the coolest guy on the planet. And I was like, I want to be his tag partner because I know I'll get better. If I'm next
Hmm.
to this guy, it's got to rub off. And so, yeah, I made sure we did some little spots together. And then I had suggested to Jeff Dino, the guy who ran SoCal Pro, I was like, hey, you should put me and Kevin together as a rockin' good time. I was like, we'll be your rock and roll express. Like, we'll be your rockers, baby. We'll be your, and he was like, it's a good idea. And I was like, oh, sweet. Holy shit, it worked.
Yeah.
And then, so he did it, and we wrestled against Eric Watts and Jason Redondo, old friend of mine who has really cool stories. He's actually one of the first people, if not the first, to ever lose to the super kick from Shawn Michaels. He's always in those compilations getting sat on by Yokozuna. So yeah, we're in this tag match with them. We're called a Rockin' Good Time. Kevin hates the name. Hates it. He hates a lot of what I love about wrestling. It's part of why we make a great team. We don't agree. Um, and yeah, he hated that name. And then like we're like, all right, well, we'll come up with something better. So we teamed. It was fun. We actually did what became our finisher, like just as like a middle of the match move at one point, I think. Um, and a couple months went by, and they didn't team us. And they're like, hey, we're going to take you off two shows. Or no, what it was once we came up with the name. I didn't come up with it. Kevin did. He came up with the RockNES Monsters, and he's like, bro, it came to me in a dream. What about this? RockNES Monsters, ROC, and then the NES. And then I was like, oh shit. And I drew it where I drew rock, like in like, like a jagged font. And then NES, I drew in like 8-bit.
Yeah.
Um, and then we're like, oh shit, there it is. Like, there it is. And so we told him the name, and like we started coming up with moves and like what we were going to look like. And like our early gears just came out like shit. It was just hard to find a good gear maker, but it looked like crap. But we had the vibe. We're like, all right, bright bandanas and the long hair and tons of double teams, and they built hype videos with like they just kept showing the RockNES Monster behind We Will Rock You. And then they played it in the arena, you know, and then it got quiet. And then we came out. We used to come out to the Ozma cover of Korovinky, the Tetris song. And when that music hit, we came out, like it got a huge reaction because we had been on every show but two. And of course, they knew who we were, and we wrestled and we lost. Oh no, we beat the tag champs in a non-title match, and then which was the Ballard Brothers, which was both our trainers, and then we ended up beating them for the tag titles like a month later. So like right away, we were just like the hot shot new tag team. And then
Cool full circle moment too, you know, to have that with
oh
them.
dude, oh yeah, that was really neat to get a lot. And like my first, like we had a TLC match with them as well. I remember, goddamn, one Shannon hit me in the he went to hit me in the back with a chair and like I didn't know. And like I don't know, like my back's not big, and he hit me in the back of the head, and I just remember being so stunned, like
Ooh.
what just happened. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, because I was laying on the apron. I was doing one of those things where you're kind of laying there, not looking, waiting to hear a sound for like whatever's next.
Mhm.
And, you know, I was just selling something else big that I took. And then all of a sudden he hit me in the chair to like add more time. And I was like, oh, and I just, in that position of laying on the apron, I just didn't move. I just was like, oh my God. But it was a
Oof.
fun match.